Today, Konami released a what gameplay rules are different in Genesis, and the short answer, none of them. Now, that is very interesting to think because, well, it's going to be very interesting as they just go into things of one great thing about the gameplay is there's no new or altered gameplay rules, and there's no real big hurdles for judges at all. And let's get into it and let's talk about it. So, of course, the first question is, can I Ritual Fusion Synchro Exceed Pendulum Hybrid monsters? Can you use them? No, there was an error with the database for the Ritual Pendulum Hybrid monsters in the deck builder site, but since it's been corrected, can I use cards that summon monsters to the extra monster zone? You can put them in your deck, but you won't be able to use them or use the effects of that summon to the extra monster zone since it doesn't exist. For example, you can put the freezing curses in your deck, but when you activate it, you can only use the first effect to negate the opponent's effect monster effect, not the second effect that summons to the EMZ. You also cannot use cards that force a player to link summon, like Into the Brains or the Tri-Brigade Revolt. Can I use cards that refer to pendulum zones or face-up extra deck? You can put them in your deck, but since there are no pendulum monsters or pendulum zones, you won't be able to use effects that require pendulum monsters, which won't exist. Place cards in pendulum zones, which aren't there. Do something to cards in pendulum zones, which aren't there. Grant pendulum zones, since there are no pendulum scales, or add-remove cards from the face-up extra deck. There won't be any. So really, you can put them in, but they don't do anything. This doesn't really mean anything for stuff like MathMech Sigma, I think it is. So there's that. But the final one is very interesting. Can I activate last turn if my opponent isn't allowed to special summon? And this is a thing that I want to highlight on this. A great question, since effects that instruct a player to perform a special summon after the resolution have changed in form and function since 2003, this card hasn't seen a print in 20 years, but based off the impressive volume of rules, question and answers this card generated back in the day, if we rewrote it today, this card would probably say something like, immediately after this effect resolves, your opponent special summons ... Effects that special summon cannot be activated if the player must perform the special summon is not allowed to, so you cannot. And that's all for now, and they'll be at the Genesis event at YCS Anaheim in Pittsburgh to observe to see if there's any other commonly occurring situations that should be addressed. So this is the main bullet point that I want to talk about. Last Turn has always been this interesting card that has been on the Forbidden Limited list for as long as I can remember, probably back in like 2005, because the Jowgen lock and everything that went around with that, along with stuff like Wall of Revealing Light, which was why it was on the list for so long, and they kind of just forgot about it. But in my honest opinion, this is very interesting because they are retconning Last Turn after 25 years. And this is great because it used to just be, oh, target Jowgen, you instantly win the game. But this may lead to a change in the future where we're actually going to get updated rulings on Last Turn in both the TCG and the OCG. And in my honest opinion, it is very good to see that they're taking a look at cards that have always had an issue from the past 25 years of the game. Now, the TLDR on this, Last Turn is much easier to work with given the reworking the TCG is using. Last Turn cannot be used with Jowgen, and you can't activate Last Turn if your opponent can't summon. That's the TLDR for this. And because of this, we have to go off of this going forward, this ruling, until there's a time that they say otherwise. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens in the future with Last Turn. I really hope it gets a text update or an errata to make it where it functions properly like they say here. But this has been an update on the Genesis format, and I've been enjoying a lot of these because you could just go to the Yu-Gi-Oh blog site, and you just see a lot of different things. The cost prevention, you also have theme spotlight being Blue Eyes, and just so many other things going on. But this is a good thing that there's going to be no ruling changes at all, but only a retcon of last turn. But anyways, I've been BoltSpider. I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully it was insightful. But anyways, I will see you all in the next video.